you will prevail. The reason I know you'll prevail is because so many others have done it before you. The long arc of history tells us we have every reason to be hopeful. So be hopeful. There is an interesting trend I've noticed. It's very conventional for every generation to underestimate the potential of the following one. It's because they don't realize that the progress of one generation becomes the foundational premise for the next. And it takes a new set of people to come along and realize all the possibilities. I grew up without much access to technology. We didn't get our first telephone till I was 10. I didn't have regular access to a computer until I came to America for graduate school. My father spent the equivalent of a year's salary on my plane ticket to the US so I could attend Stanford. It was my first time ever on a plane. But when I eventually landed in California, things weren't as I had imagined. America was expensive. A phone call back home was more than $2 a minute, and a backpack cost the same as my dad's monthly salary in India. And for all the talk about the warm California beaches, that water was freezing cold. On top of all that, I missed my family, my friends, and my girlfriend, now my wife, back in India. A bright spot for me during this time was computing. For the first time in my life, I could use a computer whenever I wanted to. Completely blew my mind. Under television, when we finally got one, only had one channel. So imagine how awestruck I am today to be speaking to you on a platform that has millions of channels. There are probably things about technology that frustrate you and make you impatient. Don't lose that impatience. It'll create the next technology revolution and enable you to build things my generation could never dream of. The ability to ask a computer anything, anywhere. Be impatient. That's okay. It'll create the progress the world needs. The important thing is to be open-minded so that you can find what you love. For me, it was technology. The more access my family had to technology, the better our lives got. So when I graduated, I knew I wanted to do something to bring technology to as many others as possible. At the time, I thought I could achieve this by building better semiconductors. At that time, I used to read about what was happening in Silicon Valley, and I wanted to go be a part of it. And at that same moment, the internet was literally being built all around me. The year I arrived at Stanford was the same year the browser Mosaic was released, which would popularize the World Wide Web and the internet. The summer I left was the same summer that a graduate student named Sergey Brin met a prospective engineering student named Larry Page. These two moments would profoundly shape the rest of my life. But at the time, I didn't know it. It took me a while to realize that the internet would be the single best way to make technology accessible to more people. And as soon as I did, I changed course and decided to pursue my dreams at Google. So, a big part of what I focus on at any given time is, making sure we are innovating and building products for the future. So we are thinking about, things like virtual reality or augmented reality. So these are all new areas, but we've always had a very ambitious mission. We wanted to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible. We feel like we are in early days of that mission. And, so for us, the journey is just getting started. I just want to make sure the next 30 years, we are still able to work on problems which really work for people on a day-to-day basis. Hopefully, at that point, serve all of humanity in a profound way. So that's where I want to be. It is a core part of at least what drew me to Google. I think the chance that we could work on products which would one day, reach everyone in the world. I didn't have access to computing growing up, and once I got access to it, it changed my life. And so I've always been interested in, this is why we work on affordable Android smartphones or Chromebooks, and being able to reach everyone, I think it's a foundational part of what we do. Inspired by the wonder that first browser created in me, I led the effort to launch one called Chrome in 2009 and drove the effort to help Google develop affordable laptops and phones so that a student growing up in any neighborhood or village in any part of the world could have the same access to information as all of you. Had I stayed the course in graduate school, I'd probably have a PhD today, which would have made my parents really proud. But I might have missed the opportunity to bring the benefits of technology to so many others. And I certainly wouldn't be standing here speaking to you as Google's CEO.
Another thing I've noticed over time is you will have many opportunities to reinvent yourself. And so, so I think, it's worthwhile taking risks and trying to do something you're really, excited by. And if the first attempt you don't do it, you can try again, and things tend to work out in the long run. In Silicon Valley, part of the reason so many people start up a company is, starting up a company and even having failed, you can wear it like a badge of honor, right? And I think that's important. Culturally, risk is rewarded. I remember when I started working at Google, if I went and people were discussing ideas, the other people who heard the ideas try to build on those ideas. They encourage you. So it's a culture of optimism. It's a culture of risk taking, and I think that's really important. So, move forward would be for me. If I look at what is needed to solve the next generation of problems, creativity is an important attribute. I think so. Encouraging more creativity through the educational system. Today, I do think our educational system values, rigorous academic knowledge over necessarily, being more creative in how you approach education. I think that's important. Another thing I would say is, and I think I've seen it in the best schools in the US, etc. It's what I call it's very experiential, very hands-on. People learn how to do things by doing them, and not just by learning about them, right? And I think that's a big difference. So, to me, so allowing a system in which there's a lot more creativity, learning how to get things done by hand, and so much more of a project-based experiential learning are all, I think, trends which the Indian educational system needs to adopt. And I also think it's important to teach students to take risks, and and making sure the system doesn't penalize for you to take risks, and if you're different. And so those are all attributes which I think are important. When I see entrepreneurs here, they seem no different to me than the kind of people I meet in the Valley. So intrinsically, I think India can do the same kinds of things. And as the internet becomes more mainstream, people feel more confident. You have a much larger domestic market to tackle. That'll give you the confidence to tackle not just a local market, but global problems as well. So I think we're very well positioned. And the one good thing about India is I think, there's always been, whenever in India I used to walk around and go to some remote corner and find a tea stall, I always felt there is an entrepreneur there somewhere who saw that opportunity. So I think that streak has always existed. But I do think this generation, to your earlier point, I think is less, afraid to take risks and follow a conformist path, which is good.
The only thing that got me from there to here, other than luck, was a deep passion for technology and an open mind. So take the time to find the thing that excites you more than anything else in the world. Not the thing your parents want you to do, or the thing that all your friends are doing, or that society expects of you. I know you're getting a lot of advice today, so let me leave you with mine. Be open, be impatient, be hopeful. If you can do that, history will remember not for what you lost, but for what you changed. You have the chance to change everything. I'm optimistic you will. Thank you.